So today I have a very special bike that I will be making a full service. So I will try to explain how to best work with the Scott Spark RC third generation frame, which is really very nice to work on. But before I will disassemble the suspension, I will actually use the wheels on the bike. So the first thing to do is actually to take it off from the stand. So on Scott Sparks you will find Fox Nude Evo dampers, and they are Evo version, so with extended volume, and they have two chambers that need to equalize. So in order to decompress the damper correctly, what we should do is to do it slowly, and every like 50 psi we should decompress. We should equalize those two chambers. So here I will just drop a little bit, right? And now I need to equalize those two chambers. It's just enough to push it to like a third of its travel. Now we can proceed. And one more time. Okay, this is actually important because there's a risk of blocking the shock, and if this would be the case, it would be very hard to fix it. You would actually need to send it to the Fox to get it fixed. So now we can actually return the bike on the stand. I will also make a lower leg service of the fork. I will remove it from the frame. You don't need to do it. You can do it on the bike. However, I want to also grease the bearings, apply fresh grease, clean everything here. So it will be much easier for me to do so. So that's why I will also remove it. As you can see, there's this dirt gathered on the bearing, so it also always worth to clean them. It's running smooth, but to keep it the best, also we should take care of it. And the same is for the upper bearing over here. Okay, so before I will disassemble the rear suspension, I will also undo the drivetrain. This is not again required to service the suspension, but it's very makes it a lot easier. And by the way, it's a great chance to just look after your drivetrain. Okay, now that everything is exposed, what I like to do is to make the first clean. Okay, so now it's time to remove the damper from the frame, and first what we need to do is to get rid of the twin lock system from the Scott's bike. So here we will need the 3mm hex key, but before we do that we need to open our suspension, so ensure that it is in an open mode, and now we can undo this bolt. So we will release okay. Now as you can see, this is free. Don't forget about this bolt. So what I do is I'm putting this in just a little bit, not to lose it. Now we are almost ready to get the rear shock out, but before we do so, I'm always trying to have some sort of like a third hand, because when we will release this rear damper, then we don't want it to just hang over the frame on the cables here. I will use this to attach it so it will not hang over. And the other thing that I also like to do is to just simply use a clean soft rag, and I'm doing it to secure the frame, so when we will release the damper, it can touch the carbon fiber, and this will protect it from it also will protect from any scratch if our screw would slip. For this we will need a Torx 30 key. So yeah, we can start it. And one more thing is that this bolt here, the thread is the other way around, so this is the left thread. Are those end caps. I will talk about them a little bit later on. Okay, so after a bit of hassle, I was able to remove them. There's quite some dirt underneath, but the bearing is very smooth. There is no problem with the bearing for sure. However, it's also always worth to clean this area, and my recommendation would be not to grease it, because then it will gather even more dirt. Also, this part, this is not ball bearing. This is it's like a two-piece bushing, so you can actually disassemble this one using a pick to put it apart, and also clean inside, because as this is a bushing, it's constantly rubbing, and it's worth to clean this area inside. There's a ceramic, so it's a very hard material, but still always it's worth to open this up and make full cleaning, not only the ball bearings. Yeah, so I need to remove this other one as well. Okay, and this bearing, yes, it's also running very nicely, very smooth. Those bearings are also very good. Yes, without any problems, they are rotating really nicely. So it's also worth to clean up the all the other parts and pieces, because this is where the bearings are sitting. So as you can see, we are exposing quite a lot of the frame, and here it's, instead of hanging, I just, on the cables here, I hang it on my helper arm. So here also it's worth to clean those places that are very hard to get when the bike is built. And one more thing worth to say is that when you're working with suspension, I have what I would recommend is to put every pieces in some special places. So for example, in my box here, I have a place for all the screws that goes from the right side, from the drivetrain side, and all the screws that are coming from the left side. So this is actually important, because the bushings, everything that works on the bike, it's not completely symmetric, so sometimes it can wear off in a little bit different way. So if you're remembering correctly from what side the screw was used, then when you're building back the suspension, it should work good as before. So this is a small hint from my side. So now I guess we need to clean all those parts and make the assembly back together. Okay, so one more hint that I can give you when you're cleaning your suspension here is that I would advise to open the bushings that you have, because inside you will find that there's also some dirt gathered, and over time it will cause the suspension not to move like it should. So really I advise this to do it. And one other thing is also worth to mention that those bearings, it's worth to just move them a little bit, because those bearings are being used in a non-optimal way for a ball bearing, because it only move this much, not a lot. So over time, the balls inside, they will damage actually the bearing a little bit. It will be more and more flexible. So it's worth to just make it move a little bit more, because in normal, when the bike is set up, it will never make a full rotation. So this is also something worth to do during the service. So if you will click the bushings correctly, then here's what's the difference in how they look. So this one I just cleaned it. As you can see, it moves really flawlessly, and this one is yet to be cleaned. It's not so good. So definitely this is why you should keep your suspension clean. Okay, so this is how all the suspension looks like. So I cleaned it all together with the rest of the parts that will go onto the bike. Now what I need to do is to service the shock and also service the fork. I will not make the video of the service since there are so many video available on the YouTube. However, I will just maybe leave a couple of important remarks for that as well. Yeah, so let's carry on. Okay, so just need to be hand tight. And now, like I said at the beginning, in order to not to block the shock, it's important to only pump it 50 psi and then equalize those two chambers that they are on the shock. So here I will only pump it only this much, and here this will be very firm, so with my hand I will not be able to squish it, so I will use the frame later on to do it, and then I will finish to pump it to the original value. Yeah, but for now this basic shock service is complete. Okay, so one more thing during the service that I would like to also show is those dust seals that you will find. So when you will open it, when you do this service regularly, then typically you will find that this is very dirty. But you can also clean it using, for example, a brake cleaner or alcohol. So it will almost, it will be in a very good shape. Definitely not like a new O-ring, but this can last for like at least two or three times if you do the regular maintenance of the shock. That's why it's really important to do it, and really the quality of the seals and everything here, if you do regular maintenance, it will be lasting a lot longer than what the manufacturer specifies. Okay, now so before I will assemble everything, there's also one thing that I would like to make note. So actually when I was servicing Scott Sparks, then I noticed that especially this bearing, it was the most used one when working with the bike, and I noticed that actually when you put this spacer here, there's quite a big gap. If I use my gouge, then this is like almost one millimeter gap between those spacers. So although this bearing is sealed, but there's a lot of dirt, especially in wet conditions. This dirt goes into it can easily access the bearing directly. That's why it always seemed to impact it a lot. And from the other side, it was not the case. The other side of the frame, I can put it, and it's stay flush. There's no gap from this side, and this is something that's common across all of the Sparks frames. So I'm not sure what's the reasoning, but in order to fix this, it's actually very easy. We can make our own custom seal that I do, and I'll just make it here. It's 0.9 millimeters thick, and then you can, with this seal, I'm attaching it to the frame, so there's no gap, and really it improves the lifetime of the bearing a lot, because I was using this for a long time now. Okay, so now it's finally time to put everything together. So we should start from here, and just remember to put some Loctite on the threads to not to loosen those bolts, because the suspension works, and this is really important to do so. So blue thread lock works very good for this. Now the shock, and the easiest way to attach it is to actually start from the bottom, and using it's possible to use the original housing and the line here for the remote control. So I'll be doing it just like just this. Okay, so all the bolts are now hand tightened only, so it's important to tighten them with the correct moment. This is 10 Newton meters for all of them except this one, which is 20. So I'm setting this key to 10 Newton meters, and I will do it in pairs. So first. This is only from one side, because from this second side there's the chain catcher, so you cannot actually move it. And this is 20 Newton meters, so we need to increase the strength for this one. And down. And here is like how it looks like from the left side. So there's no space here, and when you will go from the other side, you will see here that there's much more space, but this is secured by the custom seal right now. Okay, now when the shock is assembled, now we can pump it up to the specified pressure. So as I said, I only pumped it to 50 psi, around 50. All right, so now let's okay, so we equalized the pressure, and let's add another 50. So when you squeeze it, there's a little sound of the air that's going into the second chamber. So it's equalizing. I will need to do it 2 more times because I will use 190 psi. Okay, one more time. So it's yeah, this is it. So I can detach it. So what's left is to attach the twin lock to the shock and the fork, and the bike will be ready. Bike is ready, like a brand new one.